Hey there, welcome to another episode of Mundelein Minute. My name is Eric Schwenk. I am a trustee in the village of Mundelein. And who are you?
I'm Kara Lambert, also trustee in the Village of Mundelein.
That's awesome.
Hey, guess what? We're here again.
We're here again.
Two,
And
two for
before we
two.
get started, I'm just going to let you know that this is my house and my cameras and that there's no taxpayer dollars used in the creation or distribution of this podcast. That's my little disclaimer every episode. And we are talking about the Village Board meeting, number 3,287, from October 23rd, so just a few days ago. And
I'm going to try not to yawn. I'm really tired.
Sounds good.
It's not that I'm bored. I'm just tired.
You're like,
I'm just really tired.
If I do that, people are probably like listening in their car and they're like yawning all of a sudden. Sorry. It's contagious. All right. So getting started, we kicked it off right on time. Everybody was present. All the trustees were there. We did approval of the board minutes from the previous board meeting.
Got it? You okay?
That was a lot.
That was a big mouthful.
Yeah. Public commentary.
There was none. I was kind of surprised because it was busy.
Mike Flynn spoke.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mike Flynn.
About the signs that he
About the
needed
signs,
it.
yep,
Yeah.
for the MCC. Yep.
Seems fine.
That was awesome. And then presentations and awards. We had a presentation from the Mundelein Park District, and they came in front of the board with a somewhat different request.
An interesting request.
Yeah, so they came to ask for a license for video game terminals. And generally we see those in bars and restaurants. And this is the
and
first.
now slowly starting to be in golf clubs.
Yeah, in
golf
clubs.
courses. Sorry.
Well, right. And I guess I learned at the meeting that this is the third in the area.
So Trustee Wilson, always a plethora of knowledge, that guy.
Yes, he is.
He told me Elk Grove Village,
Yep.
Hoffman Estates used to have one. However, I don't know if you knew this. I learned this. If the gaming machine isn't profitable, the gaming company will pull it out. And so because it's a 50-50 split between the operators of the gaming machine and the places that it's at.
So they'd rather reallocate their...
Yes, their machine. So Hoffman Estates got pulled because it wasn't profitable. So kind of interesting. So if it doesn't get used, it goes
they may
away.
lose it, right.
So anyways, long-winded. Elk Grove Village, Lockport, and Lombard?
Elk Grove, New Lenox, Lockport.
Lockport.
Yeah.
New Lenox, sorry. So.
Yeah. So there's a couple around, and the park district came to the village to ask for the licenses because they're trying to find new revenue sources that can support their programming, and this is one of those.
At Steeplechase, we should probably
Steeplechase. Yeah, it's not like it's at the park.
It's not going to be at the community center park district.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Dunbar, it's not going to happen.
Not at Dunbar.
No.
So this is at Steeplechase Golf Course. This is in a facility that serves food and beverage.
Has a full bar.
That they already have. They're building a new one, and then they're planning to build out some simulators. So they're trying some new ways to capture revenue.
Super cool plan.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool plan.
Yeah.
No debate. Like really nope. What's the word? When you innovate. Innovative?
Go with that.
There we go.
Okay. So they presented to the board, and the board got to ask questions. I asked about their expected revenue. It kind of stood out to me that their expected revenue was slightly under their combined food and beverage total. So I asked if that was normal. They had their gaming partners there. And I was told that no, it's actually not normal. Those numbers were slightly incorrect. They expect revenues to be, instead of 120 to 160,000 in gaming revenue, we should expect closer to 40,000 in gaming revenue.
Which I'm okay with that. Less gaming's fine with me. All right. That's fine.
So, that does put it down after you said this about the split, down towards some numbers where the gaming company may take a look at it.
We'll see. Who knows what their contract looks like?
Knows?
I don't know.
Right.
We're speculating. But I just didn't know that fact that existed.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
However, can we just say we always oppose gaming? It's not new, right? We don't like it. Does nefarious things for the town. You see some correlations with domestic violence and things like that. So there's a reason that we don't vote for it. It's not just because we don't like it, right? Their presentation was really good. I appreciate the fact that they're only going for 3 terminals rather than like the maximum of 6.
Correct.
So they're not like shoving it down your throat. They
had
also
a
have
really good security plan.
They have a great security plan. They have it downstairs so that you have to be going to that simulator and going to that bar. So it's not like in the summer when kids and people are going to golf, they're going to see the gaming.
Right.
So I really do appreciate that. So although we did vote no, I felt like their plan was solid.
Correct. Yeah. So it wasn't up for a vote in front of the board. It was up for a thumbs up, thumbs down, if you will, just to try to get a consensus to see if the park district should spend the money and the time and resources to move forward or not. And they got
They got the approval.
their approval. They needed 4 trustees to give them a thumbs up, and they got that.
They got that.
And so it'll be back in front of the village at some point. We're not exactly sure when. And we've also seen not necessarily gaming plans, but we've seen other plans that come before the board and get thumbs up, and then we never see them again.
Yeah.
So
Who knows?
who knows? We'll see where it goes.
But it
from
was
here.
an interesting. Props to the park district for thinking creatively.
Yeah, different ways to look at revenue. So moving on from that, there was no public hearings. The mayor's report. We did a committee of the whole call for the property tax levy. So we do this in November of every year. So November 13th at 6 p.m.
Arguably the most important board meeting of the year.
This and then the next one.
Yes.
The committee of the whole, where it's actually talked about the property tax levy, and then from there, when we bring back the ordinance in December,
Yes.
a very big important meeting. And I think we've talked about it on the podcast before that nobody comes up to speak and talk about it.
Yes. Please show up. Come and
Yeah.
talk about it. So
Yeah, and I know that property taxes are top of mind right now.
correct.
So
Also, it aside from like speaking your mind, it's also like a very good educational point to like learn how much the village levies versus other taxing bodies, that kind of thing. So,
right, yeah. When you
to
look
take
at,
a look at your piece of pie, like
when
how
you
much
look
the
at
village does.
that tax bill, each taxing body taxes different amounts.
Yes, correct.
And the village is not the schools, and is not the park district,
It's not the library.
is not the library, is not the county.
It's not the township.
Right. There's other taxing bodies that all have meetings similar to this to set their own tax levies and rates.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I could talk about that all day.
Oh boy, nerd.
All right, so we appointed Catherine Almanzo to the beautification committee, as well as Kim Nunez,
Pumped.
which is great. Yep.
Pumped. Gonna be good.
Yep. And then appointed Angela Trojas to the Economic Development Commission, which is amazing. Thank you, Angela.
Also pumped.
Also pumped. That's right. We established the employee's right to paid leave by ordinance. So this was
Are you gonna expound upon this? Because we
Yeah.
both had some questions.
I had a lot of questions when I read through this in the packet. I had to go to staff and ask questions, and then some of the answers I got, I was like, huh?
Now I'm even more confused.
Yeah.
What?
So I went back and asked some more questions, and ultimately what this is effective January 1st of next year. There's a new state law that provides employees for any company of any size paid leave.
Like a floor for paid leave.
Yes, a floor.
Yes.
In that in that state law, there is a carve out for municipal organizations like the Village of Mundelein, so long as you adopt an ordinance. So we've now adopted the ordinance to carve us out of that state law, although we already provide leave at a much higher amount than what the state law requires.
Do you want to talk about what the state law requires?
The state law requires
just because it was ridiculous.
1 hour of paid leave for every 40 hours of work. Work 40 hours or work 40 weeks of 40 hours, get a week off.
There you go.
Yep.
So roughly like a week and a half a year.
And you don't have to give a reason to your boss, and no denial.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And there's more in that, like collective bargaining agreements can be carved out and things like
yeah,
that too. So
obviously.
there's more to it. But that was the short end of it. Then we talked about leading IT. So that it's a proposal for IT services and just outsourcing some of the village's IT needs.
Also, a way for us to be innovative and try to leverage new technologies without having to hire a bunch of people that are experts in those technologies.
Correct. Trustee reports. So in the Community and Economic Development Committee, there was a lure of the local license agreement. So somewhat like a lease, if you will, but since it's not a lease, it's a license to use that space. And we just came to an agreement with the property owner for that space.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you haven't gone to that, totally go to it. It's super cool.
Yeah.
So.
And then the Mundelein Community Connection asked for the right to put up a temporary sign that points to their office through the end of the year. So that's what Mike Flynn was talking about during public commentary, and the board passed that. Nothing under Public Works. Under the Finance Committee, we did the AT&T separated bills totaling $2,138.86. Then there was separated bills for Trustee Ross for her expenses and going to the Illinois Municipal League Conference. And that was totaling
$788.
$788.68. So that's parking and hotel expenses for the convention. And then the governing body bill report or approval was $1,285,741.36. And then our 5-month financial report. So we approved that, and it was coming to us in a different format. We have a new finance director.
So much easier to read. Praise the Lord on that.
Yeah. So
like the cover page of it was so much nicer to get, like where it explained everything, and it
was very helpful
good.
To look at an explanation of why revenues were trending up in one section or down in another, or why expenses were higher in one and down in another. And if you think about it, in a fiscal year of 12 months, we see a lot of expenses at the beginning of the fiscal year as contracts renew. We see some large expenses during the summer months as we pay out some of the road work or whatnot is being done throughout the village. And then we see large revenue when tax bills come in.
Yeah.
And even though they go to the county first, they come to the village eventually, and that's a larger amount as well. So we see some of those in cycles, and it's nice to have that broken down when we're reviewing the financial report.
Also, it's on the website if you want to look at
it. Yeah, it's in the packet. It's also should be on the village's finance page.
Yep, it should be.
Yeah. All right, so public safety.
We had nothing.
Okay, so moving on.
Okay.
There really was nothing.
There was nothing.
Yeah, so
I was shocked. I think that's the first time none of the chiefs had anything.
Yeah, they had nothing. No motions, no report, no nothing.
Unreal.
So the building committee, we changed all of the codes. So the International Fire Code, the National Electric Code. Let me just start over here. The 2018 International Fire Code, the 2017 National Electrical Code.
Wait, Trustee Schwenk, it is 2023.
Hold on, I'll get there.
Okay, good.
The 2018 International Property Maintenance Code, the 2018 Residential Building Code, and the 2018 International Building Code were all adopted. Why?
Why? Those are 5 years old.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now you can explain it. I don't really understand.
So, as
Pete,
we were told,
Pete talked about it.
But yeah, Pete Schubgagel told us that when the new building codes come out, they're constantly being modified and corrected and updated again. So they're like, okay, here's the new stuff. Oh, but wait, that needs to be tweaked a little bit. So instead of adopting what's like right now fresh new codes, we adopt the ones that are the revision behind it, like that have already been revised a whole bunch of times. And then that keeps us from having to go through and
this multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times.
So he said they're going to release 2024, and then we won't probably adopt it for a few years.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and they only do this every few years too. So
there's a lot to this.
This
seems ridiculous, but
of note is new building in the village, new residential building in the village now requires sprinklers. So this was an option to opt out in new developments, and now it is not.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be very important as we talk about Ivanhoe Farm and that large development, which is supposed to follow a more traditional neighborhood development where things are going to be closer together. That's also offers an opportunity for fire to jump faster. So fire suppression systems make a lot of sense as we look towards Ivanhoe Farm.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, Trustee Schwenk. I never thought of that.
Here for it.
Yeah,
all right, so transportation infrastructure had nothing other reports. On the omnibus vote list, we passed
a ton of stuff.
Radio upgrades and some upgrades regarding the way that the radios integrate with the technology in the water towers. So these were radio upgrades for lift stations, water towers, pump stations. We bought $83,590 worth of rock salt for the roads.
Ugh.
Which, look, I love having cleaned off roads, but I hate seeing that we're spending almost $84,000 to dump onto the roads that gets washed down the drain. That
I oftentimes wonder, so this is like thoughts that Kara has in her head, which are terrible. As we see less snow, like, do we still need to spend this amount of money on this? I can hear my mom right now yelling at me, yeah, you need clean roads. Calm down. I'm not saying that. I can hear her in my head right now.
Love you, Kathy.
God.
So we buy bulk rock salt, and then we buy more if we need it.
Right, but can we buy less?
Well, we buy initial amount, and if
But
we're gonna need it.
What determines that initial amount? I always just
How
wonder.
much we have?
This is ridiculous that I'm even thinking about this, but this is like kind of the random thoughts that I have when I'm alone in the car by myself.
You ever read the ones about like Wisconsin where they use the brine left over for making cheese?
No. So
Brilliant.
in Michigan they use something with like sugar beet brine, like that's left over from when you make sugar. Which, by the way, Russ, sugar is made from sugar beets, not only sugar cane. We had a big debate about that in our
Come on,
friendship, our
Russ.
marriage. But they use some sort of similar,
Yeah.
like brine. So anyway,
There you go.
I just
There's other ways.
to your point, it's not good for anything.
It's not good for the environment, and it's hard to watch it literally go down the drain.
Appreciate it. Maybe,
Okay,
Tim Wilson. Maybe this is a
Tim?
project for you.
solve it.
Head of Public Works. Solve it.
Snow and ice control services for Zone 9. So we contracted that out and then made a payment for the Cortland Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the takeaway here is these are all budget expenses.
These are all
Nothing
budget
is new.
expenses. Nothing
We've seen this
controversial.
before.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's why they're all approved at once on the omnibus list. Nothing under staff reports and no executive session, and we were out of there at like 7:45.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it, man. Halloween.
Halloween's coming up.
So trick or treat is on Tuesday from 4 to 8. If you
Yep.
don't want to participate, just turn your light off. But yeah, Mundelein celebrates normal Halloween on Tuesday. So.
Yep. And Lure the Local this weekend.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, I am not an arts person. Like, I'm kind of just like, I like sports and, you know, like kind of a dumb jock. It's a good quote to have out. It's fine. But I went and it was awesome.
Nice.
And like, I don't ever understand art, and I always tell Colleen I don't get it, but I appreciate it that people do get it. And it was really cool. So
Nice.
yeah, if you can. Anyways.
Well, that's all we got. We'll see you in a few weeks for the next episode of Mundelein Minute.
Unbelievable. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.